Hi, remember me, Kalki? I was in your podcast feed for a while. Well, guess what? I'm back. Yes, you're listening to a brand new episode of My Indian Life from the BBC World Service. I'm Kalki Kekla, bringing you stories of being young and Indian in the 21st century. And bringing you the great news that you told us you liked our first series so much that our bosses simply had to ask us to make another one. So thank you. Give us a couple of months and we'll be back on your podcast feeds. But first, something big is happening in India right now. Something we felt we simply couldn't ignore. A general election, where close to 900 million voters will decide the fate of their nation. One in which young Indians will matter a lot. So, before we leave you again to go and make season 2 of My Indian Life, come with us to the Cuckoo Club in what is one of Mumbai's most happening suburbs, Bandra. The Cuckoo Club is a popular place for young people to experiment with alternative art. But for today, this place is home to My Indian Life and a panel of people who I hope will help us understand what really matters to young Indian voters as they approach this election. Stay with us, we're going inside. Okay, so with me around the table, we have a bunch of people we are going to get to know over the next half an hour or so. Young people who are trying to make change in ways I think you're going to find really fascinating. And first-time voters. Students who will be exercising their right to vote for the first time and maybe missing a lecture today to be with us. Thank you all of you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and before we get into our deep conversation, I should also say that this podcast isn't really your regular political debate. We're not really about party politics or bringing each other down. What we're going to be talking about is about what matters to you and me as ordinary citizens and what we want from this big moment in India. And this might actually be the right moment to introduce BBC Marathi's editor, Ashish Dikshit, who's also with us today.
Hi, Kalki.
Hi, Ashish. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. There are going to be 90 crore voters, which is 900 million.
That's enormous, yeah.
It's insane. It's like the entire population of Europe and Australia put together.
Wow. I wanted to know what is at stake at these elections and also why does it take so long? I think it takes 2 months
Yeah.
to vote. I mean, why does that process take so long?
And the rest of the world fails to understand what do we do. So yeah, this time there are going to be 7 phases.
Yeah.
And the reason is we need secure polling stations. And local police is considered to be partisan. And that is why central forces are to be deployed everywhere while the polling is on.
Right.
And we don't have enough forces. So then central police forces are moved from state to state. And that's why it takes so long. But the interesting thing is counting gets over in a few hours.
Yeah.
So we get the result by say 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Right. And how important do you think the young vote is likely to be in this election?
It's very important. There are 1.6 crore first-time voters this time. It's a huge number.
Huge, yeah.
But last time it was 2.3 crores, so it was even bigger. And many of them voted for Modi.
Correct, yeah.
So political parties believe that the young vote is going to be crucial in forming the next government.
Why are there so many young voters?
Because we produced a lot of babies in 2001.
Right, and they've all grown up and they're all responsible citizens
Yes.
now. Okay.
And we've been speaking to a lot of youngsters as part of our coverage of elections. And we found out that there are 5 important things that matter to them the most. And I'll list them out. Unemployment, freedom of speech, national security, safety of women, and education. These are the 5 core issues that we thought mattered to them.
Okay, yeah, education. I want to start with that. We have someone here who's been working with kids across the country, empowering them to explore issues they care about through filmmaking. Hi, Shweta. Welcome to My Indian Life.
Thank you so much.
Why are you doing this, and how do you think that education at this level and of this type can change our future citizens?
Right. So I made my first film when I was 13 years old. Okay. And I was this active, naughty child in school. And everybody would just tag me and everyone would just tell me to shut up. So when you're in school, keep quiet. When you're at home, keep quiet, okay? So where do you voice yourself? So I wanted to start something, okay, where children can come, just use films as a tool, wherein they can all put forward all different skills that they have. And then we could identify what a child is good at and what his interest level is. And then what happens is that from start to end, when they've thought of something and they see it on that large screen and so many people discussing what matters to them, all that matters to me is that confidence and that motivation that if I am speaking, there's somebody who will hear and there will be change.
Is there anyone from the first-time voters that would like to say anything about this?
Hi, Kalki.
Hi.
There's a huge difference between a private school and a government school. And that's why maybe we are lagging behind in literacy rate
I
or
understand.
education.
Hi, Kalki. So I grew up in Delhi, and in government schools, what I saw growing up, because I lived right adjacent to a government school, the main thing lacking there was infrastructure. And now I see a change there in certain schools for sure. They made classrooms really clean, and they've got proper desks and chairs and whiteboards and blackboards. So I think that has improved the quality of government school education, at least in Delhi.
Since I work at the ground level with kids, okay, I feel that standardizing an education system is a major problem that we face, okay? Like he said that government schools in Delhi have desks, chairs, smart learning classrooms and everything. And you go to a small village and there's no electricity. So there is a tube light, but there is no maintenance, okay? And at every kilometer we are changing. The mindsets are different and the issues are different. The issue that somebody must be facing in Bihar will be very different from the issue someone is facing in Gujarat, or somebody is facing in Kashmir, or somebody is facing in the south. So it's basically, it has to be customized.
My own anecdote is I grew up in a small village called Kalki in the Nilgiris near Ooty, and I went to the local school there, and I was taught to just repeat and repeat everything one after another without understanding anything. And then I was very privileged and I got to go to this international school, Hebron School in Ooty, and there they were asking me to write my own story or something that was creative and imaginative, and I had so much trouble in the beginning, and I had to have like extra lessons just reading. I had a great teacher who just gave me lots of books to read and just taught me about imagination and where that can take you. So I think that for me definitely was a huge difference to see that. So I'm going to move on to the next topic. Ashish, India is a very big place, right? And the elections are pretty complicated.
Absolutely. They are very extraordinary. And, while we were talking about education, I was thinking about all the political rallies that I attend as a journalist, or I listen to them, and hardly anyone talks about these things. And political netas are busy, making allegations and counter allegations. So count yourself lucky that you are not a political journalist who is trying to make sense of it.
Well, we have someone here who is actually a political journalist but has tried to make sense of it all at the same time and has done something fun with it.
Hi, my name's Abir. I'm the creator of a board game on the Indian elections called The Poll.
So I just want to ask you, Abir, there were some really young kids playing this game of yours.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That's pretty fascinating. So I've been focusing on schools and colleges. So, for example, a girl in National College Bandra, 16 or 17 years old, is trying to solve the problem of communalism in Bhagalpur, and she's thinking about how and what the best way to do it, and she finds a card and she looks at, okay, community policing, that is the way we can do this. So how you embed the police, and then she builds an argument for it and convinces everyone else why this is the best stand. And I want to tell stories about Indians and things that matter through board games and make people interact with it. So
That's
it.
great.
So
That's fantastic. Yeah. That kind of practical solutions to the problems. You're
Yes.
putting them in front of a board game and finding
Yeah.
solutions to the nation. So Ashish, would you just give us a little insight, because I know that unemployment has really increased. Could you give us some details and data on that?
There are various surveys, and one of the most trusted surveys is NSSO survey. And the leaked report says that the unemployment rate is the highest in 45 years.
Wow.
Unemployment is a big issue.
Yeah, tell me, Ashutosh.
So what I have been trained and brain conditioned since my childhood is that you have to get good at your studies because you have to earn, and you have to get a job because you have to sustain a family. But now I really don't need to wait for some place where I can go and earn money. Because of the internet, I can actually start something of my own.
Abir had a counterpoint to this.
What I believe is that not everyone has that entrepreneurial spirit in them. And for those people, you need the state. You need the state to increase its capacity for jobs and for job creation. And as population grows, as the state has to grow in tandem with it.
And as students, how are you looking at the jobs right now? I mean, what is it? Does it make you nervous? Do you think there's jobs out there for you guys?
Even with education, there is no guarantee of a job. So yes, I mean, that is kind of concerning for me at this point.
Hi Kalki, I'm Dab Sharma. I'm
Hi.
a full-time musician.
I'm very well aware of you, yes.
So I basically make music out of almost everything, from kitchen utensils to issues on the street. I think we were talking about the unemployment thing, and I think everybody is educating themselves, thinking that they'll be employed by somebody someday. I think there's a lot you can do yourself, and there are a lot of platforms you can get hold of, and you can actually create something. You can fill a lot of market gaps.
Hi, my name is Ahmed.
Hi, my name is Shoaib.
And we have started a comedy collective called Jiji Talkies in Kashmir.
And we have started this comedy collective because, because of the conflict going on in Kashmir, people of Kashmir have just forgotten how to laugh.
And now we are trying to bring laughter and smiles back into their lives. So people elsewhere in India think that Kashmiris are different from them. We are not. You have terrible roads, we have terrible roads as well. You people, the unemployment rate in India is all-time high, and it is the same in Kashmir. Your parents are disappointed in you people, and they are in us as well. You people are in toxic relationships, so are we.
And do you want to talk a little bit about censorship? Because that's obviously an issue.
So censorship is something that everyone is facing right now. But since we come from Kashmir, censorship happens that much more larger scale in Kashmir. Suppose elsewhere in India, you post something that the authorities don't approve of. It simply gets removed of the social media handles. But in Kashmir, if the authorities are expecting some backlash for something, what they do is they just ban the internet. So there's this stat. Kashmir is right now has surpassed Saudi Arabia and Syria in terms of the net bans per year. And I think that's a really sad thing for a democratic country like India.
I want to talk about censorship a little more by addressing Dab Sharma and what you do. Of course, you've done one particular song that I am familiar with. We've kind of collaborated in that sense.
Correct,
in Gully Boy with Azadi. Tell me where that song came from. What were some of the triggers that made you talk about it?
Yeah, my father being a journalist trained us to watch the news from afar, not hop onto conclusions that fast. We saw how news channels painted one person anti-national overnight, and obviously we got a little irritated how people were buying into it. Everybody on the streets was hating this one man. Entire point was, all right, we are free on paper, we're technically free, but there are a lot of things that hold us back. Yeah. And that particular part in a speech that I used in 2016 in my song as a music piece, not just a speech, and I put it together with a folk piece that I heard long back in this place called Punjab Kala Bhavan in Chandigarh, which talks about the same thing.
And did you face any censorship when you came out with this song? Did you feel any tension?
So the thing is that since news media in India has a huge reach, they also hold the power to, like I said, paint somebody a certain way overnight. I faced a lot of backlash on my YouTube channel, on my Twitter account, which actually scared me. I was trying to make one more tune, and I sat down on my laptop. I was going to make it, and I'm like, should I? Should I not? Should I do this? Because I discussed
self-censorship.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Amy, yes.
Hi. I'm a journalism student, and recently I did my thesis paper on the risks that women journalists face in India, and a topic which came up was the freedom of speech as well. We being the first-time voters, we would want to voice our opinions.
Look at the table around me, and this is what we need. We need people who are unafraid of the consequences to take up the mantle and push forward in a way who disregard the consequences. And that is what a strong civil society does. That is what a strong community does. That we have to A, stand up for each other, and B, we have to respect and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, there's something that my dad told me. So he told me that freedom cannot be given to you. Nobody is going to give you freedom, okay? And neither can you take it from someone. Your freedom is in your mindset. So the day you decide that I am free and I can do this, then you can do this. But if you feel, oh, he's stopping me, she's stopping me, this is blame game. Don't do that. So it just clicked to me.
Absolutely. And I'd like to move on to the issue of security then of women in our country, which we've seen has been a huge issue and has just sort of not been addressed enough. Has anyone got anything to say? As students, I'm sure you have some stories of security, some of the women on the panel.
So I think this safety of the women is just not the policies which are created by the government, but also the change of the mindset, which is not happening at all. One of my friends' mother is got beaten up by his father, and he's like they belong to a good family.
So, as you asked, that are the women's issues being addressed enough? I think they've been addressed by every party, every political leader, but I feel like a lot of it comes off as pandering. It doesn't feel sincere. It doesn't reflect in their policies. It doesn't make any kind of real difference. Or maybe I don't feel safe because the policy is too slow to reach someone who actually needs it, and maybe it's just good enough for speeches and rallies. And where are your policies that reflect the same, and why do you only think about us only when there's elections on your mind?
Okay, so when we talk about women's safety, I would like to tell you my own experience. So few months ago, I was traveling from my house to a station, and I caught an auto rickshaw. In the middle of the day, it was around 2:30 p.m. and we were crossing a road. The auto rickshaw just stopped there. Here in Mumbai, the auto rickshaw driver, he stopped the auto and he just said that, please step off the auto. I asked him why. And he said that, please step off the auto, leave your bag and your purse here, or else I'll have to do something to you. This happened in Mumbai in the middle of the day. I threatened him to call the police, and he said that I've clearly heard you talking on the phone saying that you are alone and you're going to the station. Station is a long way from this place in Bandra. You have to go to the Andheri station. Too many things can happen and I have people. I said, I'm calling the police right now. I called the police, a lady picked up the call and she said that either you drop her at a secure place on the main road or else the police is coming right now. And I was assured on the call that his license will be revoked. Okay. Few months later, I see that same auto driver on that same road from where I got the auto. So when you say about the women's safety, it's not only about the workplace or anywhere else. It also comes into the play at such small incidents. I wouldn't really call this a small incident because it definitely sent chills through my spine because it happened to me for the first time. And that too in a city like Mumbai in the middle of the day, I did not expect that.
When you look at political parties' manifestos and how they deal with women's issues, these are all band-aid solutions.
So what are some of the solutions that are long-term on this? I can think of one. Can anyone guess?
Sex education.
Yes.
One thing I want to add.
I think these are cultural glitches. I'll just talk about my area. I come from Punjab. I have family in village and in city. And I see differential treatment there. They have daughters, they have sons, and they have differential treatment there. And the ladies of the house are absolutely fine with it. So this idea of not asking a question, it starts from there. People don't ask questions and then they don't ask questions for ages. And then it's a normal thing.
Women's safety is not their problem, it's a men's problem, and we need to fix it there. And
educating the boy child
exactly.
along with the girl child.
And one more interesting fact I'm going to throw, but it's very interesting, it's very relevant here, that we expect that in 2019, when we go out to vote, there will be more women voting than men for the first time in the history of India. Yes.
Wow.
So,
go women.
So the rate at which women are voting has been going up since 1962, and it is expected that more women will vote this time than men. That makes women the biggest constituency in India, and I hope political parties take it seriously.
Yeah. What do you think, Kalki? Why is women's safety so important? Like from your personal experience.
Casual sexism is definitely one of the issues I face all the time at my workplace. You know, it's just like, or, you know, casually saying, lose the thighs, you know, or if you just, little Botox for your laughter lines, you know, these are the kind of things. So I've stopped laughing so much now. I'm very serious. But, you know, it's that kind of thing which is just constantly repeated from your childhood. And I have a little brother who's 11 years old. We have the same father, different mothers. So the other day he told his mom, make me chai. So then I called him to the kitchen and I showed him where the jai patti is and where the doodh is and where the sugar is. And it's simple, but it does really start, I think, with the gender stereotyping from such an early age. And until we start educating our parents, educating our boys, you know, we keep telling girls from a young age what not to do. We never tell boys what not to do. And I think that's a very important part of the change. All right. Well, I think, guys, it's been a really, really interesting talk. I want to thank all of you for participating, for listening to each other, and for giving such interesting anecdotes and stories. And I hope that all of you will actually go and vote, especially the first-time voters. I hope this has inspired you and will inspire many other people who listen to our podcast. I've personally found this session extremely enriching. And I really want to thank all of you for being part of this special election edition of My Indian Life. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Round of applause to all of you. It's often said that young people don't care about politics, that they are too apathetic. It's pretty clear from our conversation today that that just isn't the case. As I said at the start, this little episode is just a taster. The whole of Season 1 of My Indian Life from the BBC World Service is still available now to download wherever you get your podcasts from. There are some beautiful, moving, inspiring stories in Season 1, and I hope if you haven't heard them, you will. And of course, we'll be back in a couple of months with Season 2. And finally, thanks to Ishleen Kaur and Prabhjeet Bains, our producers. For now, from the Cuckoo Club in Mumbai, goodbye.